All right, now, Marcus Garvey, message to the people, lesson 16. This is a very, very important lesson he drops right here. Very important. Propaganda means to propagate or make known ostensibly some particular phase of human intelligence. The desire to convert or influence people to the acceptance of the truth of a particular intelligence that is sought to be spread among them. Propaganda can be true or false in its origin or its intent, but it is always directed at the public for the purpose of winning in the support of the public sentiment expressed in propaganda. If you hate a man, and giving him a bad name as well may explain one of the purposes of propaganda without truth behind it. Nearly all organized effort have a system of propaganda to convert the people to their principles and get their support to them, even though there may not be no merit behind it at all. Propaganda is all around you, to make you buy a special brand of cigarettes, although no good, but advertised be best. To make you drink a certain brand of tea is telling you how wonderful its qualities is and everlasting its benefits, where there's absolutely nothing known to it, so on and on. Before the war of 1914 to 1918, the Germans were known to be the most cultured and scientific people in Europe. When the war started, the other nations, in order to discredit the Germans and uphold them to the world's ridicule and the contempt of civilization, released the propaganda to classify the Germans as the Hun and as barbarians. This also revealed how organization intentions can be carried out for the public appearance without thought. The press, the cinema, the pulpit, the schoolroom are all propaganda agencies for one thing or another. The pulpit carries religious propaganda. The schoolroom carries educational propaganda. The press carries out written propaganda. The platform carries out the oral propaganda. And the cinema carries out demonstrative propaganda. These methods have been devised by the white man to spread his ideas universally among them. That is why he be able, in a major sense, to control the minds of the people in the world. The white man is a great propagandist. He fully and completely understands the value of propaganda. Therefore, you must organize your propaganda to propaganda of other people. If their propaganda affects your interests, the Bible is religious propaganda. The school is literary propaganda. The novels and books you read are also literary propaganda, all counting to bring about certain beneficial to the propagandists. Never forget that you are surrounded by a world of propaganda, all dressed up, all cooped in a soup, all doubtful for the public that is not careful about what it digests from without. The proper artist is also a propaganda. He paints a picture to convey the ideas he wants to impress upon a non-thinking and doubtful public. The sculptor is also a propagandist. He chisels figures and portrays them to suit his aim and the purpose he wants to achieve. The pictures of Madonna and Christ and the angels are all painted to portray the right race, as so to inflict upon the rest of the world the belief that God, the angels, and the Holy Family are white, as well as Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve were black. They were also painted the devil and the imps of hell black to impress upon the world the belief that all that is black is evil and all that is good white is good and holy. Tear down from your walls all the pictures that glorify other races. Tear it up and burn up every bit of propaganda that does not carry your idea of things. Treat them as trash. When you go into the cinema and you see the glorification of others in pictures, do not accept it. Do not believe it to be true. Instead, visualizing yourself achieving whatever is presented, and if possible, organize your propaganda to that effect. You should always match propaganda with propaganda. Have your own newspapers, your own artists, your own sculptors, your own pulpits, your own platforms. Print your own books. Show your own motion pictures and sculptures of your own subjects. Never accept as yours subjects of another race, but glorify all the good in yourselves. Keep your home free and clear of alien objects of glorification of other race. Otherwise, your children will grow up to adore and glorify other people. Put in the place of others the hero and the noble characters of your own race. Never allow your children to play with or to have white dolls. It gives them the idea of having white children themselves. Give them dolls of their own race to play with, and they will grow up with the idea of racial love and racial purity. Watch newspapers and magazines and journals daily for propaganda against your own race or your own institutions, particularly against the U.N.I.A. Rush and print immediately a defense of your own race institutions and organizations from any attack. Never allow insults to be propagated to go unanswered by you. Be vigilant to down anything by way of propaganda that dishonors or discredits you. Do not help other fellows carry out propaganda against your race. All propaganda comes in a range of desired individuals and not from the race as a whole. It is as the thinkers and the leaders who originate the propaganda. By insisting on its wide distribution, they get other people to think as they alike. Do not accept the thoughts of others through propaganda unless it coincides with yours. Do not follow the band down the street because the band plays sweet music to the propaganda of the circus manager. He may lead you to the circus tent and take away your pocketbooks. That is to say, do not get on anybody's bandwagon because he may drive you to hell with his sweet music, like the Pied Piper of Hamelin, who played his sweet pipe and led all the rats out of the city into the sea and drowned them. Propaganda organized by someone else is always calculated to take advantage of you. Do not help them do so. Always ask, what is this about? What is the object of this? Who sent this out? What is he aiming at? Will it hurt me and my race? Is he taking advantage over me? Is this honest? Is it true? You ask these questions of all propaganda that comes before you swallow it. You'll be able to take care of yourself. Do not sing songs and repeat the praises glorifying other races. Sing your own song and recite your own praises that glorify your own race. For instance, it is foolish for Negroes to sing and say, Britain shall never be slave, when they themselves have been slaves and are likely to be slaves if they don't impress upon the minds that they are, as Negroes, will never be slaves again. Sing, therefore, Negroes never shall be slaves, because be careful how you sing religious hymns that have been written and dished up by white writers to glorify the white race in the name of God. Take advantage of the silence of God to impress your inferiority upon such a race, such as the great white wings of the angels, the great white throne of God. Wash me white as snow. All these are damnable various forms of propaganda against the black race. Though my sins may be scarlet, they should be whiter than snow. Wash me in the blood, and I should be whiter than snow. All these things reflect propaganda designed by the white man to glorify his skin and his race against the black imps of hell and the black devil and the black pale of doom. The idea of the white man making a black symbol of mourning and sadness is to show the extremity of the purity of whiteness and its joy and happiness. Reverse this. If possible, teach that the Negro that he should be mourned. When he in mourning, he should wear white, and when he is happy, he should wear black. This is a meaning of propaganda with the propaganda. The hatchet with the hatchet, the stick with the stick, the stone with the stone. Everything on earth is man creation, so out of man's propaganda in mind, he created a special system of opinions to meet the design. Therefore, customs are based upon the acceptance of the propaganda skill and engineering. Have your own propaganda and hand it down through the ages. Write your own poetry and recite it. Compose your own songs and sing them. Write your own interpretation of scripture and history and teach them as far as the interpretation of others affect your race. Challenge the thought of any book of any literature that dishonors or discredits you in any particular way, and give the widest publicity to undo the unintended harm. Remember always an error not correctly ultimately becomes fact. Never allow false statements or allegations against your race to become current in the past and in history as if they were facts. War is a hellish passion of man loosed upon the opposition of man. It sums up the cruelty of man towards man, and it always aims at the stronger taking advantage of the weaker to gain control of what he could not have acquired otherwise. Because of the fear to use human reason, war comes when man fail to adjust to differences of reason. Always be prepared for exhibition of the violent passions of man in war. Man has always waged war against his fellow man, starting with Cain and Abel. And it has continued through the ages and shall ever be so as long remains an unreasonable creature. No generation has shown that man has tended to become wholly reasonable. Therefore, in the time of peace, prepare for war, so as not to be caught unprepared by your enemy, who naturally will be stronger if he's prepared while you are not preparing and using implements of war. War is not a good thing, but a man also being not a good being. You are expected war from his disposition. All things is fair in war to win an advantage over your enemy. When there's a war, use all your implements at your disposal to defeat your enemy. Do not discuss your terms while you are warring. Discuss them after you're victorious. When war comes, all resources of intelligence and wealth and all utilities in place at the service of those who conduct the war to make them victorious on the behalf of those whom they are warring. Therefore, in a view, obtain and controlling all such resources, factors, and utilities that may be necessary as ammunitions of war. There may be a righteous war as well as an unrighteous wars, depending upon the entire civilization that makes the war or defends itself in war. It may be a war to put humans down on abuse and in favor of human virtues. The war makers always justify war in some way or another. If you become engaged in war, always have a justification for your engagement. If the war is not yours, get out of it before you go into it and complete it for the good of others. Never go into war foolishly. Never sacrifice your life for a good result or for your cause. War is the best time to take advantage of your transgressor, whoever he may be. Whenever he's engaged in war and he promised you nothing, you will never get anything from him in a time of peace. Therefore, during the time of war, make your bargains to help you get before you help anybody else in war. If you are suffering abuse of each other and there should be a threat of war against them from some other source, encourage it because it may be your chance to force a square deal. The more other people war amongst themselves, the stronger you become and exercise good judgment. Divide your enemies so you gain your advantage. Always keep them divided and help to gain the advantage. Your only hope of escaping the hate and prejudice of other people is to keep them severely occupied with other problems. If they are not have no concern, nothing else to attend to, they will concentrate on you and your problems and will be aggravated. While others have gone to war, try to be at peace among yourselves to gather the spoils of war. Never talk war openly to your enemies, but be prepared for war. If you talk it, they will come prepared waiting for you. Keep other races divided and fighting against each other as much as you can, so you can as much take advantage for yourselves. If they have no problems to occupy their time, they will turn on you and turn against you. Keep them occupying otherwise. The more confused they are worrying about other troubles or their troubles, the more time you have getting out of your troubles. And that's Marcus Garvey right there. A very, very important lesson, propaganda and war tactics. Because he dropped some pretty good war tactics up there that's also verified by Sun Tzu and the Art of War. This is from the book. This is lesson 16, propaganda. And we need to learn these messages from our ancestors who, like I said right here on this one, drop knowledge. All these is form of propaganda. Propaganda is always around you. So you got to boost up your black propaganda for your people. It's propaganda is a weapon and is a tool of war. So, what I'm saying? You first got to understand this chapter. And this is a very, very important chapter that I need to be impressed. And I'm honored and glad to be doing it and presenting it for probably one of the first times on the internet. You know what I'm saying? In this forum. So I'm very honored and humble to do it for my people and stuff like that. So, hey, subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep on dropping Black history like this. Keep it moving. Keep it coming. Also about propaganda, too. It don't have to be true or false. That's another reason why I tell you to form study groups. Not saying you're going to come with falsehoods and nothing like that, because it takes nearly an organized effort to have a system of propaganda. And the study group, the African study group, insulate your thoughts and your desires, your system and your ideals and your principles so people can get behind it. That's the organized effort for the propaganda. Anyway, y'all, much love. Subscribe to the channel. We'll have a lot more like stuff like this coming on out. And give it out to this, brother, message to the people, lesson 16, propaganda. Peace and have a wonderful one.